It's just gone 5:30 AM on a cold Shaftesbury Avenue. What on earth am I doing here, may you ask? Ah yes, it's time for another one of my budget travel adventures. I only have a 5 minutes wait to the number 38 bus to London's Victoria Station. Most buses from London's West End run 24 hours a day. And in no time at all, I am on board, and I pay the very low contactless fare of £1.75 to the driver. And with that, welcome to Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And always remember, the nearest exit may be behind you. Today, we are going to Poole, Dorset, where the standard return train fare is £60. My aim on this channel is always to get much better value for money than the UK's train network, so we will see how much further than this we could go for the same amount or less. It doesn't take long on this bus to reach London's Victoria Station, and from there we must get off and walk along up the road to the nearby coach station. I am hungry now, so let's head inside and see if I can find some food. But no, alas, the Greggs, which is supposed to open at 6 AM, is all firmly shuttered up, so I guess I will be going without. And so I checked the departure board for my departure, the 6:30 AM National Express coach to Poole, and here is the front of her for any coach geeks. And after a quick and easy boarding process, we head off. So, here we go. We are on board the NX035 6:30 AM service to Poole's Seldown coach station. I booked the ticket a few months in advance for a very, very low £7.80 fare with a £2.50 seat reservation fee on top. We head off towards the west, passing through Knightsbridge and past London's famous department stores. It's not long until we are out on the Westway, heading outside of London on the M4 and then the M25s past London's Heathrow Airport. If you are wondering why the coach is travelling so fast, then it's because I've sped the video up to double speed so you don't get too bored. All seats on National Express come with at-seat USB power, and there is free Wi-Fi available on board. The coach does take 45 minutes, longer than the train. However, the train, apart from being about double the amount of money, even booked in advance, just cannot be relied on to make airport and ferry connections, so I now tend to always book the coach due to the unreliability of trains in the UK. This is especially true on the South Western Railway lines into and out of London Waterloo, which seem to regularly be beset by bad delays. And we finally make it out onto the M25 motorway. And if you are wondering why I paid an extra £2.50 seat reservation fee, then it's because of this amazing legroom here. I can stretch out with nobody sitting in front of me. And finally, we make it out into the beautiful green English countryside, which, living in the centre of London, is always a pleasure to see. The first stop on this service is not until Southampton, and as we pull off the motorway and stop at these traffic lights, I see a pair of beautiful giant sequoia redwood trees. There are actually more of these trees in the UK now than there are in their native California. As we edge closer towards the centre of Southampton, we pass by this Travelodge Southampton hotel. I'm pointing this out as it's a great hotel for budget travellers, often costing no more than £30 or £40 per night. Not the prettiest of buildings, I admit. It is located on the main avenue that heads towards the city centre, which is creatively called the Avenue. Enough doodling around here, we have a ferry to catch. We pass by Southampton's East and Watts Parks. Inside here is a memorial to the RMS Titanic, this being the port city where she departed from on her fateful voyage in 1912. We then pass another piece of maritime history, the Sea City Museum and Titanic story, which for those ship lovers I am sure will be a great visit. Maybe I should go here to make a future video. Please let me know in the comments below. Almost here at stop number 1. We arrive into Southampton's Central Coach Station. A few passengers alight and depart here, and we are back on our way. I've left this little clip in of the station outside so you can see where it is located, should you be joining the coach here instead of London. We then head out of the city, past Southampton's famous Western Docks. Now operated by DP World, and is the largest cruise terminal in the UK and the second largest container port. Out through the New Forest, which is probably one of the largest tracts of uninterrupted land in southern England, being a mixture of heathland, as you can see here, and also tracts of forest, of course. Next stop is the sunny seaside resort of Bournemouth, but, well, not very sunny today. After the scheduled 5-minute stop here, we're back off on our way, and we're running pretty much more or less on time. The next part of the journey is all through urban residential areas on the road down to Poole, which is also where the next 3 stops are, which are just basically roadside bus stops. The route between Poole and Bournemouth is also the route of one of the UK's best rated local bus services, the M1. Now all of the other passengers almost have left the coach, I could give you a little tour around to show you the comfortable seats with the at-seat power, and there's plenty of legroom really in most of the seats, even with my extra legroom seat here. Passing through the stops of Westbourne, Branksome and Parkston, we arrive into Poole, the local Holiday Inn Express for anybody who is staying there.
Okay, then final stop, Poole.
We make it into Poole's Saildown coach station at 9:48 AM. That's an amazing 7 minutes ahead of the scheduled time. Much better, I'm sure, than a train could do. You then need to walk up past Poole's Dolphin Shopping Centre, which is where the main Poole bus station is located here. The railway station, where those willing to risk it by train will arrive. As this pub says, welcome to Poole Dorset, 97 miles from central London. Now, let's see how much further we can get for less than the cost of the train fare. treated by them here, putting up the Christmas lights. Poole Quay, where there is a myriad of different cruise options available. However, being winter, it doesn't look like any of them are running today. The Maid of the Lakelands, one of the many pleasure boats that goes to Guernsey Island. There are many historic pubs lined along the quayside. For maritime lovers, the Portsmouth Hoy pub contains many ship memorabilia. Another pleasure boat here, the Solent Scene, operated by City Cruises. This is the sea music sculpture constructed in 1991 by Anthony Caro, and if I had more time I would definitely climb up to the top for a nice view. One thing to point out here is Poole is the home to Sunseeker International, and they were founded in 1969 as Poole Powerboats, and are now one of the United Kingdom's largest yacht companies. Then cross the Poole Lifting Bridge, which, despite looking quite modern, was actually built in 1927. A final view of the large yard of Sunseeker International. Now, let's see if we can find the ferry terminal. I came across this railway line here, which looks very abandoned. I wonder when it was last used. I make it to the ferry terminal, which has its own salubrious looking cafe. Or is it an old school prefab? I'm not sure. Anyhow, check-in was nice and easy, and that was it. We were about to board Condor Liberation. Welcome on board Condor Liberation. She was launched on the 15th of December 2009 and was built by Ostel in Western Australia. She is Ostel hull number 270.
Again, hot lunch is now being served in the Cascades Bistro. Thank you.
A quick view of the club lounge on the front of the ship before they close it off to the general passengers. A view of her bow and forward car deck from the club lounge. I then make my way to a seat in the standard cabin, and gosh, I'm in for a bit of a shock because there's not much space and legroom on here compared to a regular cross-channel ferry. There are also no at-seat power outlets near the seats for that matter. There were, however, a couple on the front wall underneath the TVs. Before setting sail, I saw this bizarre ferry slip past. It doesn't look the most sturdy of things. If anybody knows what this is used for, please let me know in the comments.
3 o'clock we expect to be on time, and later on into Jersey it's 16:30, not possible. Weather conditions today, you've chosen a nice day to come with us, around 1 metre of swell up there in the channel from the east. It's not too bad, but nonetheless being a high-speed craft, do take care when moving around the vessel. Always keep one hand free for the ship to hold on to the handrails in the alleyways, stairwells and in the shops. And finally, if I could just ask you to please pay close attention to the TV screens as on departure. We'll be playing you a very important safety presentation. Thank you.
And so, here we go. At our scheduled departure time of 12 o'clock noon, we set sail for Guernsey. Docks and ferry terminal fade into the distance, and you can see the quayside and Sunseeker factory where we were earlier on. The scheduled sailing time today is 3 hours, arriving into Guernsey at 3 p.m. Poole is one of the UK's largest natural harbours, so we still have some sightseeing to do yet before reaching the open English Channel. an in-depth look at the stern of Condor Liberation. And what is more surprising is currently there are no car alarms going off. The right-hand side of the ship, you can see Guernsey Island, the destination for many of the pleasure boats we saw earlier. They are certainly big into their recycling on this ship with all these notices. Anyway, let's go exploring and have a look at the upper viewing area. Given this is not a full-sized passenger ferry, I was quite surprised actually at the amount of outside deck space. We close in on Guernsey Island, and over here is its most famous attraction, Guernsey Castle. Guernsey Castle was put up just a few years ago, in the year 1545. It was constructed by Henry VIII and has also historically been known as Brittany Castle. Maybe I was wrong, and some of the pleasure boats are actually running today. On the opposite side of the ship, at Sandbanks, are some of the most expensive houses in the United Kingdom, often known as Millionaire's Row. As you can hear, now we reach the open ocean, and right on cue, the car alarms are going off. Oh, and literally off. One of the final sights to see for ship lovers on the journey outbound is the Sandbanks Ferry, a 48-car ferry that sadly is not free and charges a toll, but it operates as a chain ferry and avoids a 25-mile diversion to Swanage and the Isle of Purbeck. The ferry operates 364 days a year, and the current vessel, seen here, was brought in 1994. There was an incident a few years ago when the Brittany Ferries ship, which also travels to Poole, the Barfleur, snagged and broke one of the ship's chains, but we will be seeing the Barfleur on a later video. As we leave the expensive houses of Sandbanks behind, we finally reach the English Channel, although we have to negotiate first this channel of buoys demarking the way out of the harbour. Those pesky alarms. And that's it. We are off into the English Channel. Over here, on the headland, is the Harry Rocks, which forms part of Dorset's famous Jurassic Coast, which is well known as being the abode of dinosaur hunters. Sadly, I didn't see any dinosaurs today. Well, except maybe a few, walking about the town. Condor Liberation's engines really then throttle and open up, and we climb to our cruising speed of 45 miles per hour. And gosh, the wind is really picking up too. Time to head down inside the cabin, where actually, surprisingly, it's really rather smooth. There are a lot of complaints online about Condor Liberation being a sickly and uncomfortable ride. However, I must admit, I did not experience this at all. However, rather luckily, I do not suffer from seasickness. Here is the cafe bar on board the ship, the Island Bar, which to be honest had a rather limited selection, although it was not too expensive. On the outside, the roar of our engines is incredible. Let's take another look around the upstairs viewing area, which surprisingly there is even a helipad up here for emergency evacuations. Again, surprising to see on such a small ship. And I like this notice, the sea is only made for fish. We head back down the stairs to continue our little deck tour, or well, what there is of it. This really is all there is to see. After what seemed like a lot longer than 3 hours, with there only being a lounge on board the ship to sit down, and these decks, we finally sight land at Guernsey. Gosh, it is very foggy here. We enter through the harbour at St. Peter Port. The car ramp for the Condor ships comes into view. And here we dock into the Guernsey terminal of Condor Ferries, which in just a few months' time will become Brittany Ferries Channel Islands. I like the classic architecture of this old terminal. That's it, we alight from the ship. An easy and short walk out, past the ship, and then through the terminal and in to the town of St. Peter Port. A look here at one of the RNLI lifeboats at the nearby lifeboat station, the Spirit of Guernsey. And welcome to Guernsey. A short walk from the ferry terminal is the Best Western, more central hotel. And St. Peter Port's quaint, cobbled streets with many English, well-known high street brands, such as here at Marks & Spencer. In front here is the parish town church of St. Peter Port, which was built in the year 1466, although there has actually been a religious building on this site since the year 1020. It really is an amazing piece of history. some beautiful stained glass windows. Plaques outside to honour those associated with the town, such as Brock and William Turner. The Queen Mother even visited here in 1984. Opposite has to be the most elaborate looking branch of Sports Direct I have ever seen. I wonder what its history is. And a jolly gentleman here who could join on a seat. For the harbour, and this tree here is a reminder how Guernsey is one of the first places in the British Isles that has the currents of warm winds from the Caribbean. Alas, but not today. It is cold and foggy, ruining my first view of Castle Cornet, Guernsey's famous historic castle. An amazing piece of history. It was put up in the year 1256 by Barrett Holmes. Actually, that last part is not correct. I was just testing if you were listening. These volcanic looking style rocks here on the beach remind me a little bit of my trip to the Giant's Causeway in Ireland. We didn't have time to go in today, however, it certainly did not look very open. After researching online, it opens from the 20th of March to the 3rd of November 2024, and alas, today is the 4th of November 2024. Entry would have been £11, so well, I guess we just have to admire it from the outside. These opening hours are worth remembering if you are also planning to visit over the winter season. Let's have a look up here to see what we can see on the breakwater. Just emerging through the eerie fog is the MV Condor Islander. This really is an amazing sight to see appear through the fog. She is arriving on her sailing, much longer sailing actually, from Portsmouth this morning, where she departs around 9 AM. Just like the Condor Liberation, which we arrived on, she then continues onwards to Jersey, providing an inter-island service and connection. She reverses into exactly the same berth where we had gone into before just an hour earlier. They certainly like their notices here, warning you about things that you shouldn't do. To be honest, I don't think I fancy doing any tombstoning today. A final view of Castle Cornet, where the fog has cleared, maybe a little slightly. This fascinating structure here is the Vivier Bunker Distillery, and it was built by German occupying forces in the Second World War. Almost back on the shore, we see the beach and the fog clinging down over the hillside, and a view of St Peter Port's bus station, where you could catch local services from here all over the island. Anyhow, after heading back past the church, it's time to find a nice local pub and a pint of beer. After passing this National Trust restored house and now Christmas gift shop on Cornet Street, we head up and we find this nice local pub. Very good reviews on Google, so we thought we would give it a go. Certainly, it was very pleasant, with a nice warm interior and plug sockets to charge our much needed phones. And with that, it comes the time to discover whether I beat it the standard train fare return to Poole. And yes, I did, with still £7.50 over to spend. Ending with this very aptly named pint of Liberation thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.